in regards to this particular project, you know, which will be showing, we want to go back to April 27th, 1962, and do a documentary showing what took place at that particular time. What do you think the importance is of showing this documentary to our people today, especially the Muslims in the community and black people in general?
Above all, and I consider this the most important reason why, is that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad left for us some things that he determined that the Muslims should know, and it was not just given to the Muslims because of the title of the book, Message to the Black Man. And the black man should know what's in that book. And one of the things that's in that book is he made reference to the date, April 27, 1962, when the mosque was attacked, and cited it as a very, very important thing in the history of the growth of Islam. So if he thought it was important, I definitely think it's important. Number one. Number two, it was, in fact, the most historic day in my life, and I'm 80 now, so there's been a lot of days. In my Islamic life, that was the most important day in my Islamic life, and I believe that has something to do why now, after over 50 years, Allah has blessed me to still be a believer and still be connected to the Nation of Islam. Number three is I relived that scene, and it pays to the greatness of the teaching and training of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the teachings and therefore our training, because the way that Allah blessed me to interact that day didn't come from what I had gone through in my life up to this point. There's nothing in my life that indicates that I'm brave or that you could expect me to react the way that I did. But if you listen to the teachings and if you pay attention to the training, then you can see that teaching and that training dictated that this is the way that I should respond. And so if anybody really wants to understand what the teaching and training produces, then April 27, 1962, and what it brought to the table should be very beneficial in your explanation of the Nation of Islam, and should have something to do with your making a decision as to whether or not you want to have a part in it. First of all, it came on a Friday night, and it was after the mosque was over, and all of the believers were gone, with the exception of the laborers who were doing the work of closing down the temple. I had already left going home. I had a passenger, and I was a block away at the corner of 57th Street and Broadway. There had been an alarm that went out to the LAPD that there was trouble at 57th and Broadway, and they automatically came to 56th and Broadway, where the temple was located, although that's not where the altercation that took place was actually happening. They came directly to the temple. A block before you get to 57th, and they stopped and came out of their car. They came out shooting. As a member of the FY, a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the only thing that could come to my mind was go back to the temple and defend it. So I turned the corner on 57th, and I got out of the car and I ran back to the temple. They were shooting, and I had no weapons. We didn't have any weapons. And I could figure no way to deal with the police who stopped in the middle of the street and they were shooting at the temple. My mind settled on two 5-gallon water bottles that were in the temple that I knew of. One was in the sisters' check room, and the other was in the brothers' check room. So I went into the sisters' check room and got a bottle and threw it. It didn't quite reach the car, police car that is, but it fell right next to the temple and had the effect in the darkness of night. When it hit the ground and shattered, it was like a bomb. And it really, it made the police afraid. I went back into the other check room to get the other bottle, and the gunfire was going off. And there were brothers that were outside, and the police officer was shooting at those brothers, now including myself. Brother Ronald T., the secretary, and Brother Anzar, who was at that time William 12, and he was our top paper seller. And they had been upstairs in our offices counting out the sales for the day. So much would go to the seller, and the other would go back to the temple. We could utilize it to buy the next issue of the papers. And after they heard all the shooting that was outside, they came downstairs. Brother Ronald was trying to stop the shooting. He was concerned. His concern was for the life of the believers, and he held his hand up in a gesture calling for surrender and stop. They shot him with his hands up in the heart, and killed him. I would say murder. But the answer came down and he was shot in the back with .357 Magnum. The bullet did not pierce his spine. It was so close to the spine that the force from the bullet caused him to be paralyzed until his death.